What's happening, my blog buddies? This is Blog Content, and actually, we have some more Nintendo Switch news right now. It's kind of a little bit about things concerning, GPU speeds and CPU power and stuff like that, but mostly it's about, what can this console do? What can this console ultimately bring to the screen, and what is its graphical capability? And a lot of you guys, I read a lot of the comments here on Block Content, and I'm very happy that you guys are so involved with the Switch because it's the console that I am looking forward to the most. But I also noticed quite a popular trend right there in the comments, and that's mostly about, what will the graphic capability of this system be? So a lot of you guys are wondering, what exactly can this machine do? How will the pictures look, and will it be better than what the Wii U brought to the table? And might it even be better than something like the PlayStation, the PlayStation 4, now the PlayStation 4 Pro, of course, or, the Xbox One or the Xbox Scorpio. So there is a lot of debate going on there, and, checking out the footage from Jimmy Fallon and seeing kind of how it, stacks up, the handheld portion of the console and the home console portion of the whole thing. And it's kind of thinking about, what will it end up changing, right? The dock might give it a little bit more power than it supposedly should have, right? And maybe, playing it on the go makes it a lot less powerful. And so I've stumbled upon an article from the awesome website Forbes.com, and it's very ad-filled, so I don't really like visiting it all that much, but the news that they have is so good. So they actually reported on the Nintendo Switch, and they say that it sounds woefully underpowered. Now, this sounds very negative, and I really want to get through this and kind of see it in a lens of positivity, right? So Eric Kane writes this, and he says that Digital Foundry has a very thorough breakthrough of the Nintendo Switch's GPU and CPU clock speed. Information that's been both leaked and confirmed by developers working with the new hardware. Okay, so this seems, right enough. And Digital Foundry, we've already reported on quite a lot of their dealings, so they have some inside information, and to me it's very exciting to get in on that, And, where could they be getting this from? Is there some sort of guy within Nintendo, that's also on their staff working there? It's endlessly interesting to me, where does this news come from? But I'm very happy that we are able to report on it right here on the Block Content channel. Anyway, they say that the Eurogamer post piggybacks off this VentureBeat post. So, you get the news from all sorts of places, and ultimately, it has the ability to kind of change. The news has the ability to, as it travels from news outlet to outlet, it kind of changes. So I went back and watched it, and, it stays mostly the same. So a few minor details. In which other unnamed sources confirm that the Nintendo Switch will actually be running on a Maxwell-based 20nm chip, as opposed to NVIDIA's newer 16nm Pascal technology that you'll find in GTX 1080 cards and Tegra X2 chips. And they say, closing both, the graphics processor and CPU are housed in the same chip. So, you guys, this is all sort of, very technical mumbo jumbo, and, Forbes recognizes this, and they say, without going into too great detail like the technical aspect of it, of course, both the above posts do an admirable job wading through the technical weeds. The long and the short end of this is actually that, and here it comes, the Switch runs at different specs when docked and on the go. So kind of like we've theorized before here on Block Content, right? Especially seeing the footage from Fallon and playing The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and that game looks incredible. We have played it for over 6 hours, and it looks awesome, but seeing it on that, little handheld screen, in the trailer even, the frame rate was so low that it might even have looked kind of lagged in the initial trailer, but then when we saw it on Fallon, it actually looked like, 30 frames per second, pretty smooth, good picture quality, so yeah, it's pretty weird. The Switch runs at different specs when docked and on the go. So to me, it only makes sense, the dock could provide extra power for that, and to me, I don't need the most powerful machine ever when I'm on the go. Like, I play Super Mario Run now, and it's such an awesome iPhone game, right? Because Super Mario Run is doing all these Mario things so right, and that simple, Apple innovative touch, one button to play so well too, and you don't really notice the graphics, right? And they can even zoom in on Mario, quite a lot, and, it still looks awesome. So, no, being on the go, I don't need that to be, 1080p, 60 frames per second. Who really needs that, right? But they say, and games will need to be designed to, run in either state, similar to how the PS4 Pro introduced enhanced modes for some PlayStation 4 games. Okay, this is pretty cool. So what they're actually saying is that the games will need to be designed in different ways, so it will run in either state. So this is kind of confirming that every single game on the Nintendo Switch, every single game that anyone brings out for the Nintendo Switch will be able to be played on the go. Now, I've kind of wondered about this a little bit because I'm thinking about the potential for the virtual console right here. What could it possibly be better than playing a game like Smash Bros. Melee on the go, right? Just on your little game, your little gamepad right there in the bus or on the train, and you're just switching around. You're just playing that. That'd be cool. So yeah, they kind of compare it to the PlayStation 4 Pro, that has enhanced mode for PlayStation 4 games. So that might, even bump up, maybe HDR play and stuff like that. They've already announced quite a lot about that. And then they say, we don't know the final specs since the Tegra chip is in the Switch. That will be a custom designed version. But Nintendo has lowered clock speeds from the base specifications to kind of hit things like battery life and thermal targets. Yeah, you kind of need that battery life target because you can't just make up as you go along. You really need to invest in, good technology to be able to rely on stuff. So in other words, the Switch is actually not as powerful as the PS4. It's not running as fast as something like the Shield Android TV. And so they also say, note, of course, take this with a grain of salt. This is not confirmed by Nintendo, nor have they spoken personally with developers about this. This information is solely based on reports from the publications that we mentioned. So they've reached out to Nintendo and they'll update, all the stuff. But the console is considerably less powerful on the go than it is when docked, they say. And developers have the option to equalize performance between modes. So, wow, it would be making the docked version of the games perform exactly the same as the portable version. That's pretty cool. So, developers really have freedom in seeing, how they will be, attacking this. But it's really cool that they, are just stating, it will be considerably less powerful on the go. I mean, we need to know what we're up against, right, when this console launches, and it's really, really soon, think about something along the lines of, 2 to 3 months. Yeah, right, so here's the Digital Foundry on the GPU, which is clocked down both in the Switch's docked status and on the go. They say, as things stand, CPU clocks are halved compared to the standard Tegra X1. But the GPU aspect of the equation that will prove more controversial. Even while docked, Switch doesn't run at Tegra X1's full potential. Clock speeds are locked here at about 768 MHz, considerably lower than the 1 GHz found in the Shield Android TV. But the big surprise from our perspective was that the extent to which Nintendo has downclocked the GPU to hit its thermal and, of course, aforementioned battery life targets. That's not a typo, it really is 307.2 MHz, meaning that in portable mode, Switch runs at exactly 40% of the clock speed of the fully docked device. So it's a lot less. Obviously, we don't know everything yet, including how Nintendo and Nvidia have customized the Switch's processor, and given that we've seen some games like, the awesome Skyrim on the machine and the fairly impressive looking new Zelda game, I don't think we need to worry that games will look bad on the new console. Kind of like, I just said, I don't think that it will be amazingly horrible, it will not be all that noticeable, and I think that Nintendo is kind of doing its own thing in a lot of respects. So they don't really need it like that. They don't need it all that much. But it is very interesting to think about, is this going to get some backlash from fans? I don't know for sure. It could happen, but, I still think that, playing your console game on the go is such a great selling point that they will pull through, because that selling point is, to me, better than any amazing The Last of Us or Uncharted graphics, novelty will ever be. Playing your games on the go like that will change everything. Anyway, this was Block Content. Hope you guys like this. There is a very cool, very awesome shiny subscribe button, which I would love if you would press if you're not yet a part of our awesome Blocked family. And if you do press that button, you'll get all the awesome Block Content news about the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo, and video gaming world, all right at your doorstep. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments, what do you think should be, the optimal power of the Switch? Do you want it to run at 60 frames per second, 1080p, or, all that crazy stuff? Or do you not really care about that all that much? Kind of like me. So let me know in the comments, and we'll see you guys around the corner where there's always more Nintendo Switch news.